We've successfully created the powder room over here, but I also want to have a back hall lab. That's when the kids come in, they can use that instead of the fancy powder room. If you have domestic help, generally that's the bathroom that they would use. So I need to put in another wall, create similar. And let's try to think about how I'm going to lay that out. It's better to put your plumbing on an inside wall than an outside wall, although this is the garage. The temperature out here is going to be less than the temperature inside of the house. So we're always concerned about plumbing freezing. Say somebody left the garage doors open and it was really cold out, so the garage got really well below freezing, and for some reason that cold transferred into here somehow through a little crack in the wall or whatever. It could freeze the pipe. So it's always a good idea to put your plumbing on this inside wall. So let's do the same thing again. Architecture, component, model in place. It's still casework. We'll say okay to that. That'll be casework number 7. And I'm going to draw an extrusion. And now let's pay attention to the height, and the material looks good. So I'll draw that rectangle. And let's put that 2 feet right there, okay? And for now, I'm just gonna say okay to that, and okay to that, and then I'll just drag this back a little bit for right now, measure it, see what we have. I want 3 feet here because that's where the toilet's gonna go. It's 2'6". So I'll click on that. We're gonna have the same problem unless we edit this in place. And so if we click on that and edit the extrusion and click on here, I can put a dimension in from here to here, and this will be slightly different than what we did at the other countertop extrusion. Is now I can change that to 3 feet. And because I'm working on the outline or the perimeter of that extrusion, it didn't change this, it just changed this wall. So that's okay. I'm going to say all right to that, and I'm going to say okay to that. So now let's delete my dimension, architecture, component. I want to put in a toilet this time, so let's go find the toilet over here. I can type in TLY, and let's see what happens in the search. It's going to show me my toilet, my domestic toilet. I'll come over here, flip it, put it in there, make sure it's in the right location by using the dimension and then creating a constraint that says that they're equally distant apart. And that's good. I hit escape a couple times on the keyboard, hit the delete key, unconstrain, and look at that. Okay, so I like that. What if I come over here, simply say create similar, and then come over here. I can hit this space bar until it rotates correctly. And again, guess what? I had that same problem. If I click on here to see what the properties are, I have to raise it by 5 inches. So I'll Control C on that, and then I will come down to here, go to that view, and instead of using the align command, I just change this by 5 inches by pasting that 5 inches in there, and that'll do the same thing because I know it's got to be 5 inches taller. Okay, back to the first floor. I have my sink in there. I don't have it centered, so I have to, oh, it's not in the right orientation either. So I'll take that guy, and let's see if I hit the space bar. It's only flipping it in that direction, so I'll just rotate it 90 degrees. So now I have it correctly oriented, but not located. So I'll put these dimensions in here, looking for the equal. Here it is. Looks good. Escape, escape, just to get out of that command. Unconstrain it. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So what do we want to do? We have to cut the countertop. Edit in place. Create a void form, which is an extrusion. I'm going to pick lines, and I'll offset by 1 inch. And I'll come in now to my sink and offset all of these by that 1 inch. So that's going to cut a hole. And then I want to draw a line which has 0 offset, just from here to there. And I'll say okay to that, and I will say cut to that. It cuts the hole in there, so that's looking good as well. I'll accept that. Last thing to do now, of course, well, not the last thing, but the next thing, let's put that architecture component model in place. We're going to do casework still, say okay, casework number 8, and I'm going to do an extrusion with the rectangle, and I'll pull that down to here. And let's see, I'm going to click on this line and see what happens if I change that to 3/4. Look at that. Now, what's the height of that? Let's change that to, those constraints right now at 3 feet would put it just behind the countertop. So I'll go back and make that 6 feet again. For the top of it, I'm going to make the bottom of it 3 feet. So it starts at the countertop. And now I'll change it right now. Instead of leaving it the porcelain, I'll change it to the mirror. So I'm just going to type mirror right there. Did I spell it wrong? I sure did. M-I-R-R-O-R. Double click on it, it changes the properties to that, and say okay. And now let's flip this section and go to the view, and the view doesn't extend far enough for me to see the powder room. There it is. Now the ceiling is really 5/8 of an inch below the framing, but I'll put it up to there for now. So now my mirror's in there, and then I need to put that cabinet in. Well, I don't see the cabinet that I want here. So let's WT and see what I can see here. That's of no help to me. That's of no help to me. So let's see. I really want to put in another section line. And I'll just put it from here to here. It's looking in the wrong direction, so I'll flip it. And then I'll go to that view. And now I have the view here, and I want to put, remember this is the under cabinet. We'll say create similar. And it won't let me put it in a plan view because it's floor based. So I'll go to the first floor. I'm still creating similar. I'll come over here and I put it on the wrong side. In other words, it's not facing out, it's facing in. So I'll just find that arrow that allows me to change it. Now I flip the direction of it. And maybe in this case, I will only want, I won't have any side shelves on it. I'll just have a big under counter cabinet. So let's see what the width of that has to be. From here to there is what? 3 feet 4. Okay, so let's see that be, let's see what are my options here for the properties of that. So 3 feet 4, 36, that's 3'3". Let's use that one. And then center the cabinet. Looks like they are centered. Okay, that looks good. And so now on this side, we would just put another piece of that color in there. So again, without, well, I guess we got to put the door in now. Let's do that. Architecture, door. That's a good one. Come over here. In this case, maybe I do just want the 6-inch return. That'll give us a little more space when we walk in. And it is already put in at 6 inches, so that's good. So you can see. Now I'm thinking when the kids come in or mom and dad come in, they might have their shoes on and they might want a little bench to sit on. So I'm going to simply take this archway and move it over, and that will leave space to put a little bench here. So you come in, you sit down, you take your shoes off, you come over to the closet, you hang up your clothes or whatever, but I think that makes a little bit more sense. Or I could say, let's align the door and the archway. So now they're exactly lined up. So that looks pretty good. Save the project and we'll stop this recording.